The body of 19-year-old Eva Silva, who died in a shelter, is being brought to one of the temples of Spanish Andalusia, and a few minutes later several warriors arrive at the same church morgue. Apparently just out of the fight, one of them, Shannon, is the owner of an ancient artifact, and she's critically wounded. Enemies are on their heels and are about to break into the building. Then, one of the nuns extracts a glowing disc from the back of the dying woman and puts it into the girl's body, and she herself dies at the hands of the enemy. And then the incredible happens. Eva comes to life. Gradually, her body begins to obey her, but then she sees strange red smoke pouring into the room. She hits it with a random object she finds nearby, and the fog disappears. Eva comes out of the church basement. Intoxicated by the night air, she walks through the city, and at some point she is hit by a car. The girl literally flies into a clothing store, but the wounds heal right before her eyes, and Eva, having changed their clothes, goes outside again, looking at herself in the window and being amazed that she looks as usual. Meantime, a Vatican envoy. Father Vincent arrives at the church to find out where the halo has gone. He's told about Eva, and he realizes that the artifact has a new carrier. Eva goes to the shelter where she lived before she died and surprises her neighbor Diego. Very much Eva talks about her newfound superpowers, but she cannot explain where they came from. At this time, Father Vincent arrives at the orphanage and is amazed to learn that the girl was paralyzed before her death. Meanwhile, Eva is running along the seashore and enjoying unfamiliar sensations. Later, the girl goes to the city and suddenly sees the same red fog. She follows it and ends up in a nightclub, dazed by the music. The girl is treated to some alcoholic drinks, but when one of the men makes a remark to her, she pushes him so hard in the chest that he is literally thrown away several meters. Frightened, Eva runs away. Meanwhile, Father Vincent finds out that Eva got into the shelter when she was 7 years old after a car accident, in which her mother died, where the father and the rest of the family were. It was not possible to find out. Morning comes, but evil is afraid to fall asleep, fearing that everything that happened to her will turn out to be dreams. To cheer herself up, she rushes into the pool. Forgetting that she cannot swim, she begins to sink, but she is saved by a guy who rushes to her rescue. JC pulls her ashore, and the girl admits that she is terribly hungry. During breakfast, the guy introduces her to his friends Chanel, Zoe, and Randall. Meanwhile, Sister Mary shares her fears with Father Vincent, who, and why attacked the warriors. The priest instructs Mary to find the new host. Eva asks JC for permission to stay, and JZ explains that they live by the principle, take everything for free. This house belongs to a rich man who comes here a couple of times a year. They find such houses and live in them, and then they put everything in order and move on. Eva is accepted into the company and invited to a club, which amazes the girl, who is inexperienced with parties. Suddenly, she sees the familiar red mist over the heads of the dancers, follows it, and sees it absorb people who use prohibited substances. Father Vincent tells the bartender that demons really exist and feed on the souls and flesh of weak people, and something enters the morgue where Shannon's body lies, and not finding the halo, tears her back with its claws. Terrified, Evil returns to the hole and rushes into JC's arms, waking up in the morning. Eva does not immediately realize what happened to her. It turns out that she doesn't know how to use the shower, but JC comes to the rescue. Meanwhile, Sister Mary goes to the port, where the sisters were attacked the day before, and finds an unusual cartridge. She returns to the church where her Father Vincent and the rest of the sisters are preoccupied with finding the halo. One of them, Lilith, was supposed to be the next owner, and now advocates for a speedy search for the girl, while Mary is more concerned about the identity of the attackers. She tries to convince the priest that it was an ambush and demonstrates an armor-piercing cartridge. Shannon's disfigured body is later discovered. Father Vincent suggests that it may be a demon named Tarask, capable of taking physical form and killing for real. Therefore, they need to find Eva faster than him. Meanwhile, in Morocco, an archaeological expedition finds a lost relic of the Catholic Church, the armor of Saint Adriel. After studying the records, about to ask Sister Beatrice, finds out that only an owner armed with a divinium sword can kill him. Cardinal Dorati, who appeared at this moment, explains that if Taras gets to the halo, hell will rise and heaven will fall. Therefore, returning, the halo is of utmost importance. Ava is having breakfast with the friends, and then goes to the beach with them. Mary also finds the master, who made a noticeable bullet. He gives a tip to the customer. Mary uses very harsh interrogation methods and learns something interesting in the evening. JC invites Eva to a fashionable presentation of a new technology at ARC Tech, where Cardinal Durrett is also present. The young man steals the key from the security guard, and they enter the laboratory. Meanwhile, Dr. Gillian Salvius demonstrates to the audience the stabilization of the Higgs field, which became possible thanks to the development of the miracle metal. The Cardinal is shocked. Did she get divinium? Meanwhile, the woman plunges her hand into the field of the world's first quantum portal. The friends examine the laboratory, and Eva is delighted to find a wheelchair with a neural network. After the demonstration, Cardinal accuses Julian of stealing divinium, but the woman refuses to return it to the church. Meanwhile, in one of the rooms, Eva and JC find the armor discovered by Gillian. The armor begins to glow, reacting to the girl's presence. Father Vincent is informed that Eva has been found on the university campus. Meanwhile, from the conversation between Gillian's assistant and the head of the security, it turns out that the confrontation with the nuns was provoked by the security agency transporting the installation of Dr. Silvius, who at this time shows her laboratory to selected guests. Jazing gets a warning about this and tries to take Eva away. Gillian notices the fading glow of the armor and realizes that intruders must have penetrated the lab on the way. Eva sees a room in which a child is locked and returns to him because she wants to understand what is happening there. Suddenly, the siren starts to blare. Eva tries to hide on the street. Mary knocks out the security chief responsible for the attack on the sisters. Meanwhile, Eva is trying to escape from the guards suddenly. A portal opens up behind her, from which to rest appears, but the warrior nuns led by Father Vincent intervened to protect the girl. Eva throws a piece of the armor at the demon, banishing him to hell, which extremely amazes the nuns. Eva starts asking questions, but she's knocked out and taken away later. The girl wakes up in the church tied to a bed. Despite attempts to calm her down, Eva reacts negatively, which is immediately transmitted to the halo. Suddenly, there is a shrill ringing and evil walks through the bed. Beatrice calms her down, but Eva releases a shockwave that scatters the sisters around. When she regains consciousness, she sees Vincent in front of her, who begins to tell a story about Saint Ariella, who came to God. After losing all of her loved ones, she fought for the god and one day received a mortal wound. But the messenger of God, the angel Adriel, gave her his halo, so he saved her. Shocked, even realizes that the artifact is now inside her father. Vincent talks about the Rask and about Eva's newfound abilities not only to see demons, but also to kill them. Nevertheless, Eva tries to leave the church, but Father Vincent reminds her that her only protection is an osmium vest, which prevents demons from feeling the energy of the halo. She has a lot to learn. Meanwhile, while Mary interrogates the head of the security, and he draws her attention to the fact that Gillian did not need to attack the nuns, because it was more important for her to deliver the cargo. The man tries to kill the sister, and she shoots him in the lab. Gillian and her assistants are watching the footage of the demon attack and trying to figure out what it actually was, and they decide that, first of all, they need to find the strange girl to whom the armor reacted. Meanwhile, Cardinal tells Vincent about the divinium machine he saw in the lab. It is clear that the metal is obtained by melting the armor of Adriel. Cardinal is interested in Eva's fate, but Father Vincent draws his attention to the unusual behavior of the halo. It seems that it shows its owner on her first training day. Eva meets Mother Superior and tells her that she can now heal. Sea demons pass through solid objects and levitate, which is confirmed by Lilith, who suddenly knocks the girl down. Eva has to respond. They fight, but Lily's stick passes through Eva's body. Tyrion has to stop the fight later. Eva sits down for lunch with Sister Beatrice, who calms her down and tells her about Shannon. Eva learns more about Ariella, who created the Order of Female Warriors, named after the cross on the hilt of the sword. It was then that the nuns declared war on the darkness. Devotees. Meanwhile, Eva's friends find another rich house, which turns out to be Gillian's property. The woman allows them to stay in the home on the condition that they hand over Eva to her as soon as she appears while training with Sister. Lilith. Eva learns that divinium can kill her soul. Suddenly, there is a strange noise. Lilith commands Eva to defend herself and throws her a cross-shaped sword. But Eva passes through the wall, ending up in Mother Superior's room with her ankles stuck in the wall. It turns out that this was a test, and the sounds are made by a special device. Superion tells Eva about the dossier he received from the shelter, in which it is written that the girl committed suicide by taking a large dose of painkillers. Shocked Eva easily pulls out the leg. She outright denies the fact of suicide, but Superion puts pressure on the girl, urging her to decide whether she wants to live or die. At this moment, Father Vincent and Sister Beatrice enter the room, putting an end to Eva's humiliation. Vincent is outraged by Superion's behavior, but she sees Eva as a threat to the others, and the girl convinces Beatrice that she did not kill herself. Beatrice believes her and takes her to the cell that used to belong to Shannon. Later, Eva meets Sister Mary, who reads her the continuation of Ariella's story about how before her death she passed the halo to her successor. But when Father Vincent is distracted, the girl runs away, leaving her vest on the table, and the note which says that she has chosen life returning to the street. Eva notices a man who is being chased by the familiar red flag and follows it, but she falls into a trap. She's beaten and stabbed. Soon she finally meets JC, who brings her to Jillian's house, where Nell helps her to find her style and clothes. This instantly makes JC fall in love with a girl. Angry Zoe tells them that Jillian is looking for Eva. An argument begins, during which Eva emits a shock wave, causing the walls to crack, and then she leaves. Meanwhile, Cardinal is trying to convince Father Vincent to find Eva and take the halo from her. Even if it means killing the girl is trying to think what to do next, and remembers the humiliation she suffered from Sister Frances, who cared for her at the orphanage at this moment. JC comes to Eva and tells her that he wants to travel further with her. Eva agrees. Meanwhile, the Cardinal informs the sisters about the blasphemy taking place in the laboratory, and he demands to return the armor to the church. Mary searches Shannon's cell and finds a piece of someone's clothes. Later, the Cardinal instructs Lilith to find Eva and return the halo to the true owner herself. Mary tells Father Vincent that someone was tracking Shannon and knew exactly how to kill her. Eva recalls Sister Frances bullying again, but she becomes distracted by JC's story about his mother's death at night. The nuns attacked Jillian's lab. Eva and JC come to the ferry crossing, but the girl has memories of how Sister Frances injected her with some liquid and then did the same with Diego. Eva runs away, instructing the guy to buy the tickets and wait for her there. The nuns neutralize the security of the laboratory, but they cannot find the armor. Beatrice sends everyone away and goes alone to look for the artifact. She is met by a whole squad of guards, but the fragile girl turns into a real murder weapon and throws the big guys down the corridor. She finally finds and takes the armor, seeing the device being built from divinium. Meanwhile, Eva enters the shelter and finds Sister Frances with a syringe in her hand, about to inject Diego. Eva stops the villain, who admits that she lost the count of how many people she killed during the struggle. The nurse injects the drug into Eva's neck. The injection weakens the girl, but the halo begins to glow. Eva gets up and breaks the killer's neck. Diego sees all this and asks the girl to run. She leaves, tormented by the fact that she killed a person. Dr. Jillian looks at the video of the incident and orders the guards to be fired, and Beatrice delivers the armor to the Cardinal and tells him about the machine she saw. He understands the doctor is going to open the gates of hell. Upset, Evil leaves the orphanage and meets Sister Lilith, who intends to take a part of her. Lilith attacks Eva, but suddenly Sister Mary stands between them, and while the nuns sort things out among themselves, Evo escapes. She harnessed the train station and is surprised to find JC still waiting for her. She asks to leave immediately, and the guy is surprised more and more. Later, Lilith and Mary arrive there, but manage to see only Eva's farewell gesture. From the departing ferry, Dr. Jillian delivers a message about the gates being built to another world, and this is a new era in the history of mankind, but the church hinders the development of progress in confirmation. The woman shows footage of the attack on the laboratory and asks the Vatican to stop the war. Cardinal decides to respond to Jillian's attacks, but first he needs to hide the armor. He orders the Shield of Faith to be sent to the Vatican. Eva is examining her shoulder, but the skin is undamaged. She has to lie to JC that she has a very valuable ring that doesn't belong to her. She tells him about your life in the shelter, while the shield is loaded into a car for transportation to Vatican. Father Vincent confesses to Beatrice that he does not trust the Cardinal. Later, the Cardinal compliments Beatrice and tries to win her over to his side. Meanwhile, Mary catches up with the ferry and meets Lilith at the pier. A fight breaks out between the sisters again, from which Mary emerges victorious, pushing Lilith into the sea. Meanwhile, JC takes Eva to the pantry to hide from the A controller. He starts asking questions again. But the girl kisses him, and the guy instantly forgets about all the misunderstandings. Father Vincent comes to Jillian. He's ready to tell her where the shield is. If she promises to leave Eva alone because she is the only weapon against the world's evil, the doctor makes a promise that she's not going to keep. Meanwhile, Mary is attacked by Lilith again, and after the fight, Mary chains her attacker to the handrail. In the toilet, Jillian's assistant shows her a video of how the shield was stolen. The doctor gives the order to find Eva, and then goes to the isolated room where his child is being held. The boy reports that he has spoken to the angels and everything will happen. Very soon, on the ferry, Ava is tormented by the need to tell the truth to JC, but when she goes to the bar she meets Mary. He promises to protect her. Eva is outraged. She did not ask for such a fate. The sister lets her say goodbye to the Gaia, while Lilith frees herself from the handcuffs. The sisters meet again at the bar, and while Mary persuades Lilith to give Eva a choice, either NJC slipped past the nuns, give chase and catch up with the young guys in the hangar where they tried to hide. JC tries to stand up for his girlfriend, but Lilith just throws him away. She stabs even in the back to cut out the halo, but then Mary steps in. While the sisters are fighting, a portal appears behind Mary, from which the rest comes out. While terrified JC crawls away, Lilith rushes at the demon, who pierces her with his claw. The dying sister orders Eva to raise a sword, and she dispels the Rask, who takes Lilith with him. The guy tries to get answers from Eva, but she just walks through the wall. Do you like the story so far? The next episode's coming right up.